Hello and welcome back to the Movie Pope Podcast, and welcome to another Trailer Wednesday episode where we take a look at trailers and Lee gives his thoughts, whether they're substantial or not. And today we are going to be taking a trip to the land of Eternia, where we get to see He-Man battle Skeletor, because we haven't seen anything like that happen on the big screen for quite some time, have we, Lee?
Yeah, I remember the Dolph Lundgren one, right? Has there been something else between that time?
Not unless you count Robot Chicken.
Probably not at maybe the same scale as you're expecting.
But it's not funnier though.
I also feel like there was like an animated one. Wasn't there an animated one where like it got like a lot of pushback because like He-Man wasn't really like the main character or something?
I think that was the one from Kevin Smith because I remember that was the one that had Mark Hamill and Bill Shatner in there because everybody made a huge hoo-ha over that. But yeah, that one kind of got a lot of flack because it didn't follow the canon that we're all used to following, right? But this time around, they've decided to have another go at it, and they're going to give us a proper live-action rendition of Masters of the Universe. and I mentioned this before we started recording, but Jared Leto is playing Skeletor. So,
man, come on, like that guy is like box office poison. Like, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure having Jared Leto be in this.
I mean, come on, he's already played Morbius and the Joker. I mean, how bad can it be if he plays Skeletor? You know, I also kind of
ask the Tron movies how they're feeling right now.
It's only one Tron movie, so I mean, unless they decide to do another Tron movie with him in it, then yeah, maybe we can talk. And I mean, who knows? It might be a reverse Joker where Tron Ares was bad, but then the next Tron knocks it out of the park. You know, but I was gonna say, like, if you think about it, like people in our age group, we grew up with He-Man and Masters of the Universe, right? I mean, we were part of that cohort when we were growing up in the late 80s and 90s. We would see those cartoons and we would get the references, right? So I feel like with Gen Z, with their 6-7 lingo and all that crap, this is probably something that's not going to gel with them. So that's obviously this is the reason why they're doing it, is to not only to use your lingo to cultivate some member berries, but to also kind of cultivate a new audience, really, because I mean, because I'm guessing anybody under the age of 40 or even under the age of 35 is not going to have any idea who He-Man is, unless they kind of take it pejoratively and they think it's a slur against trans people. Did you ever grow up watching He-Man, or do you have like
I did not actually. I did not really watch He-Man. I know it kind of like came on, and I'm thinking to stuff like the Thundercats and everything like that, but He-Man was not on that list of things that I got into. So I kind of have that cursory knowledge about it because I mean, it's been around for forever. I know I referenced the Dolph Lundgren film for He-Man, so there's a bunch of things out there that I kind of know about, and there's some memes out there with He-Man. So, but I feel like that's how I just kind of know it, is through jokes more than anything else. So it's kind of weird for me to take all those like jokes I have in my head about He-Man and be like, okay, they're gonna play this straight or they're gonna play this for real. So I have to kind of get in the right headspace for that.
I mean, it's very campy because if you think about it, a lot of the cartoons that we were exposed to were from the 80s anyway. So cartoons from the 80s, they kind of have this campy vibe to it where it's like, if you suspend your belief, then yeah, you can get into it. But like once you actually like apply an iota of rationality to it, you're like, yeah, this is downright silly. And whenever they try to adapt it to the big screen, it whether intentionally or unintentionally, that campiness kind of gets carried over. So it's almost kind of hard to try to adapt a serious version of Masters of the Universe because we're kind of wedded to the idea that there has to be an element of silliness to it.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and take a look at the trailer and let's see if that holds true or if we'll finally get something that's a bit, well, I wouldn't say worthy, but it's a bit more down to earth and less highfalutin.
Yeah, down to earth.
All that stuff that only exists in legends and bedtime stories. Talking tigers,
there we go.
spaceships,
Recognize that.
and magic swords that can make a man as mighty as a god. Where I come from,
I'm getting Asgard vibes from this.
is real.
I know, right? It was He-Man just like a normal person that got stuck
Why
into
did
this
you send me
universe?
away?
Is that the story of
I
He-Man?
wanted you to be safe,
I think so.
so I sent you to a place I knew that they'd never find you. There's
This obsession with nerd stuff and sword things, it's not a good look for human resources.
I know it sounds crazy, but that sword is gonna show me the way home.
Sir, you can't do that.
Don't worry. The sword's mine. Why would it be there? It's like, that's good. You find like a real sword of like, okay, we're gonna use it
Hold on.
at the top.
Well, why would Mjolnir land in the Southwest? I mean,
Okay,
About to
that's
get
fair.
weird.
That's fair. Yeah, the Asgard fuel is 100% on point. I thought it just held it back there as Man at Arms. I see it back
Yeah.
there.
What am I supposed to do? Take the sword. You protect them.
There we go. Now that's the He-Man we all know.
yep, there he is.
I think it's gonna help knowing that, like, you obviously can't see that that's Jared Leto, right? So maybe that's gonna help the box office, knowing that really all you're gonna do is get like Jared Leto's voice. You're not gonna see his face. Maybe that'll save it from its impending doom.
I mean, well, unless they do the whole origin thing where they show him before the skeleton.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It kind of interesting, right? So I like I said, I don't know anything about He-Man lore, right? So I apologize if you were coming here being like, oh yeah, we got two people that can talk about He-Man. One of them doesn't know shit about He-Man, right?
You don't seem to know a lot about things, Lee.
No, that's fine. That's fine, right? So it was interesting to see. So it looks like he kind of started off in wherever, right? And then he went to Earth, and then eventually went back to wherever he's from, right? So is that like He-Man lore, Luca? Like, is that what it's all about? Where he was just like, he knows what Earth is, and he's been on Earth?
I think they're leaning too much into the Marvel playbook because, from my understanding, is you got the regular Prince Adam, and then he's got the sword, and then he turns into He-Man.
Yes.
And I mean, if anybody knows more about the He-Man lore, please let us know down in the comments below. But from my understanding, from the cartoons I've seen from way back in the day, and we're going back 30 years, by the way. I mean, he just lives in eternity, and he's just a regular prince, and nobody knows he's He-Man. So
yes.
So it seems like the whole let's send him to Earth to protect them. They're kind of doing the whole Thor Superman vibe thing. He discovers a sword, and then he's like, I must get back to my home world to defend it or whatever.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound too dissimilar from Thor, really.
Yeah, because I know, like, going back once again to the Dolph Lundgren one, right? They, have the plot where he's on Earth, but I feel like that happened because, well, budget, right? Like, that's kind of their big problem.
Yeah.
That was a very low budget film. They don't have the ability to create like sets of this different world. Whereas, nowadays you got CGI, right? You got, VFX. You have all this stuff that you could utilize now to create that world. And it's a lot easier nowadays to do that. Of course, it's still expensive, but it's something different that you could add into it. So it is, like I said, it's interesting. And I wonder how much it's going to like play it like super serious, and just kind of the funniness comes from the fact that it plays itself super serious, or is it something where, you know, it's going to find a balance, or it's going to try to strike jokes, you know, kind of do the whole Marvel thing, right? Because it's like, oh, we'll just throw in some, you know, funny things like him trying to grab the sword from the prop there. So there's a lot of interesting ways that they could play this. And, you know, I will say, it looks like it's going to be well back, right? I mean, the funds look like it's there. I think I looked at the budget. It's something like close to 200 million, which, you know, granted doesn't get you as far nowadays as you would think, but still, it looks like they're putting some effort into this. So, I mean, I'd be curious about this. I think it has enough of that. I think nostalgia to maybe grab people, but it easily could be a total bomb. Right, so it'll be curious where we go with this. I imagine it's gonna either bomb terribly or have that cult following. I'm not sure I have a lot of confidence that this is gonna be quote unquote good.
I mean, well, if that's the case, they are leaning heavily on the nostalgia factor that people who grew up with this will definitely flock to it and definitely kind of, you know, lend their support so that people will say, oh, okay, well, maybe it wasn't a completely waste of time and money, right? But at the same time, I mean, obviously, if the whole point is to grow a franchise, you definitely want to get, get more people involved in the franchise, not just the old timers, but get new blood in there, right?
Yes.
So again, to go back to the MCU comparison, obviously, if you take some of those story elements that people are familiar with, because I mean, the MCU is relatively new compared to the He-Man universe, right? I mean, what you want to do is you want to take story elements and beats that people are familiar with, and kind of like just copy and paste it onto this, so people can sort of say, oh, it's kind of like Thor. He's this guy who is a demigod who is, who's got to, go to Earth where he lives as a regular human, but he knows who he is, and he tries to reclaim this artifact that helps him tap into his power. And then once he taps into it, he can go and save his world and his people from this great evil, right? It is kind of interesting just to see how that's all going to play out. I mean, I definitely think they're gonna lean on the more serious side to try to give us something that's a bit more substantial, but at the same time, sometimes the best comedy isn't when someone is trying to be funny, but when they're not trying to be funny, right?
Yes. Because you can play this very straight lace, and you might find just humor in the fact that they're playing it so straight, knowing that, like, literally the guy just, like, has this, like, magical gold transformation, right? And he just loses all of his clothes. So, I mean, it is just, on its premise, it has this kind of, like, goofy element. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I'm curious about it, right? It's just, it just kind of strikes that chord of being, like, this kind of fun, high fantasy type of thing. Brings you to a different world, and I guess we'll just see how they execute it.
Well, movie drops on June 5th, so we got quite some time before it hits theaters. So let us know down the comments below what your thoughts are. Are you interested? Are you keen on seeing Masters of the Universe? Are you familiar with the lore, and are you a fan of the franchise? And are you excited to see it get the, shall we say, proper reboot and reimagining that it deserves? And as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.